The wind howled across the Wyoming high plains like a grieving widow, carrying dust and the faint scent of pine from the distant bighorn foothills. Folks in Willow Creek called it the ghost wind, said it carried voices from places better left alone. For nearly 3 years, no one rode near the old McAllister cabin. Not hunters, not trappers, not even the circuit preacher who braved blizzards for dying souls. The place sat crooked on a low rise, half swallowed by sagebrush and snow in winter, its windows like empty eye sockets staring down at the trail. They said the cabin was cursed. Old man McAllister had built it in '78, back when the land still belonged more to grizzlies than men. He'd lived there alone until one spring morning his horse came back riderless, saddle empty, reins dragging. Search parties found nothing, no body, no blood, just his boots sitting neat on the porch as if he'd stepped out for a smoke and never returned. After that, the cabin stood empty. Windows cracked, roof sagged, door hung open on one hinge like an invitation nobody accepted. Then the rumors grew teeth. Travelers claimed to see lantern light flickering inside on moonless nights. A ranch hand swore he heard a child laughing behind the walls one dusk, but when he rode closer, the sound stopped cold. A widow passing by in a wagon saw 2 shadows, one tall, one small, standing at the window watching her. She whipped the mules into a run and never looked back. By the time the stories reached Willow Creek's saloon, the cabin had become a place of bad luck, bad dreams, and worse endings. Men crossed themselves when they spoke its name. Women made the sign against the evil eye. Until the day Caleb Hart rode past. Caleb was 34, lean as a winter wolf, with eyes the color of storm clouds and a mouth that rarely smiled. He'd come up from Texas after the war, driving cattle, breaking broncs, burying friends. He owned nothing but the clothes on his back, a good sorrel gelding named Rusty, a Winchester 73, and a quiet that made people nervous. He didn't talk much about the war, and folks didn't ask. He worked odd jobs, branding, fence mending, anything that paid in coin or beef, and kept to himself. That October, he was headed north toward Sheridan, chasing word of winter work on the big ranches. He'd meant to skirt the cabin by a good mile, but Rusty threw a shoe sometime after noon, and the trail narrowed with a creek cut through. No choice but to ride close. The gelding limped, head low. Caleb cursed under his breath, swung down, and led him the last half-mile on foot. That was when he saw the smoke. Thin, gray, almost invisible against the slate sky. It rose from the cabin's chimney, steady, deliberate, the kind of fire someone tended with care. Caleb stopped. His hand drifted to the rifle scabbard. No one had lived here in years. No one sane, anyway. He tied Rusty to a juniper, loosened the cinch, and approached on foot. The wind shifted, carrying the smell of wood smoke and something else, bread baking. His stomach growled despite himself. He hadn't eaten since dawn. The door was closed now, not hanging open. A fresh split stack of kindling leaned against the wall. Someone had swept the porch clean of leaves. Caleb's boots crunched on gravel as he stepped up. He knocked once, hard, deliberate. Silence. He knocked again. A soft voice came through the wood. Female, wary. "Who's there?" "Caleb Hart. Passing through. My horse threw a shoe. Smelled your fire. Thought I might trade a few minutes' work for a nail and a hammer if you've got one." Long pause, then the scrape of a bar being lifted. The door opened a crack. She stood there holding a shotgun leveled at his chest. Mid-30s maybe. Dark hair pulled back in a loose knot. Face thin with strong boned. Eyes green as new grass after rain. Her dress was patched, faded blue calico, sleeves rolled to the elbows. Behind her, half hidden in shadow, a girl of 8 or 9 peered out, same dark hair, same wary eyes, clutching a rag doll. The woman didn't lower the gun. "You alone?" "Yes, ma'am." "You armed?" "Rifle on the horse, Colt at my hip. I'll leave both outside if it makes you easier." She studied him a long moment, then she stepped back. "Leave the guns on the porch, come in slow." Caleb did as asked, unbuckling the gun belt and laying it beside the rifle. He entered with hands open. Inside smelled of pine smoke, lye soap, and that warm bread smell. The cabin was small, one room with a loft, but clean. A table made from split logs, 2 chairs, a cast-iron stove glowing red, a narrow bed in the corner, neatly made. The girl stayed behind her mother, watching him like a hawk watches a rabbit. "I'm Rosemary Wells. This is my daughter, Clara." "Caleb." Rosemary set the shotgun against the wall, within reach. "You hungry?" "Always." She cut 2 thick slices from a loaf still warm on the windowsill, spread them with bacon grease, handed him one and Clara the other. Caleb ate standing, slow, savoring. The bread was good, better than anything he'd tasted in months. "You're not from around here," Rosemary said. It wasn't a question. "Texas originally, been drifting." "Why'd you come close? Everyone else stays away." "Heard the stories, figured they were just stories." She gave a small, tired laugh. "Most are, some aren't." Clara tugged her mother's skirt. "Mama, is he staying?" Rosemary glanced at the girl, then back at Caleb. "That depends on whether he's trouble." "I'm not trouble," Caleb said quietly, "but I won't lie. I'm curious. Folks say this place is empty, haunted, yet here you are baking bread like it's Sunday." Rosemary's gaze hardened. "We've been here 2 winters. Came after my husband died. Consumption. Took him quick. Town wouldn't help. Said we carried bad luck. We had nowhere else. This cabin was abandoned. Roof leaked, but it had walls. We fixed what we could." Caleb looked around. Patches of new chinking between logs, fresh mud dog repairs, a patched window. "You've done good work." "Had to." He finished the bread, wiped his hands on his pants. "You got tools? I can fix that shoe, maybe patch the roof before snow flies harder." Rosemary hesitated. "Why would you?" "Because my ma raised me to help when I could, and because that little girl looks like she could use a dry roof over her head." Clara peeked out again. "Mama says strangers bring trouble." "Sometimes," Caleb admitted. "Sometimes they bring nails." Rosemary's shoulders eased a fraction. "Tools are in the lean-to. Hammer, tongs, a few shoes. Help yourself." He worked the rest of the afternoon, reset Rusty's shoe using a borrowed rasp and clinches, then climbed the roof with a hatchet and a bucket of pitch Rosemary had boiled down from pine sap. The wind tried to push him off, but he braced and worked steady. By dusk, the worst leaks were sealed. When he came down, Rosemary had coffee boiling. Real coffee, not chicory. She poured him a tin cup. Clara sat on the floor drawing pictures with charcoal on an old board, horses mostly. "You don't have to stay the night, but it's getting dark and the trail's rough. There's room in the loft if you don't mind hay." Caleb looked at the girl, then at the woman. "I'll take the porch. Got a bedroll." She didn't argue. That night the wind screamed, but the roof held. Caleb lay wrapped in his slicker, listening to the cabin creak, listening to the soft murmur of Rosemary singing to Clara inside, a lullaby he hadn't heard since he was small. He thought about Texas, about graves he'd left behind, about how long it had been since anyone sang to him. Morning came cold and clear. He chopped wood, split kindling, stacked it neat. Rosemary watched from the doorway. "You're not riding on today?" Not a question. "Thought I might stay a day or 2, see if the roof holds in real weather." She nodded slowly. "Clara likes your horse, says it's got kind eyes." "He does." That day became 3. 3 became a week. Caleb hunted, brought back venison, fixed the corral fence, taught Clara how to curry Rusty without getting kicked. Rosemary mended his shirt, patched holes he hadn't noticed. They talked little, but the silences were comfortable. One evening, sitting by the stove, Rosemary spoke quietly. "They'll come eventually, the town. They'll say we're squatters, say the land's claimed, say I'm no fit mother living out here alone." Caleb looked into the fire. "Let 'em come. You don't owe us anything." "Maybe not, but I'm tired of drifting, tired of empty saddles and empty nights. If you'll have me, I'll stand between you and whatever comes." Rosemary's eyes shimmered. She didn't speak for a long time. Then she reached across the table and touched his hand, just once, light as a falling leaf. Outside, the wind quieted. The cabin no longer felt haunted. It felt like home. Years later, folks in Willow Creek told a different story about the old McAllister place.
They said the curse lifted the day a quiet cowboy rode up and decided to stay. They said you could see lantern light in the windows every night, warm, steady, no ghosts. They said sometimes you heard laughter, real laughter, drifting on the breeze. And if you rode close enough on a clear evening, you might see a tall man splitting wood, a woman hanging wash, and a girl riding a sorrel horse bareback, her hair flying like a dark flag. No one called it cursed anymore. They called it the Heart Place.